It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. Thedartzone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics. And Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Okay, welcome to Dart Talk.
How's it going?
Mystery Mark made it.
Sorry for the delay.
Steve Ponzielman here with Mystery Mark. It is June 19th.
Yes.
What year?
2012, I hope.
Welcome to Dart Talk. We got a lot to get to today. We have results.
Good. Nice.
We have results from two Players' Championships over the pond. For the people following Jeff Smith, we'll let you know how he did. Also, there was a World Stage 4 in Dartslive Asia. We could talk about that. We'll tell you who won, who didn't win, let you know how the Americans did. Also, we have results from the DPNY, their fourth event. And I want to talk a little bit. That is the Dart Professionals of New York.
Okay.
They have like a little tour. We'll talk about that later, about kind of what they do, because I think it's really cool. And I kind of want to talk about how not to do a singles league,
right.
and you kind of know why I want to. And this is a good example of how you should do it. And so I want to talk about that. And then we promised everybody we would talk about the mental part of the game.
Right.
And I do want to
we will get to
address that. I remember to do the disclaimer. So let's do the disclaimer really quick before I forget.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect the thoughts or opinions of the hosts, our sponsors, any official Dart sanctioning organization, and post hoc ergo propter hoc, any and all spelunkers, debunkers, raconteurs, roustabouts, technocrats, hepcats, cat ladies, Lady Gaga, the Four Seasons, the Three Stooges, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, hipsters, kibitzers, hellions, the fickle finger of fate, or Tom Waits.
Okay. I actually wrote us another one.
You just decided not to play it?
Well, I want to have Angie record it again, and
right.
I didn't have time to get it to her in time for the show, but we'll update that because I'm sure everyone's going to love the new one.
I'm sure.
Especially, I will mention Todd Durer. He's going to like the new one.
Okay.
He's going to replace Sharon D. Butler as like the
that'll make Sharon happy.
The darter who really wants to hear the disclaimer. 4 times a show.
I don't know if it's hotter outside or in here.
Well, I got the air on.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. I was actually chilly before the temperature dropped. I mean, it was brutal, like in the afternoon here in Chicago. But it's okay now. I played golf Sunday.
Really?
Yeah.
When was the last? That's first time all year, right?
Couple of years. I didn't play.
You played once last year, right?
No, it was the year before. I tried to figure that one out.
Really? I thought it was last year.
With your dad, it was. I thought it was 2 years ago.
Maybe.
But
anyway, how'd you do?
So get this, right? My clubs are older than you.
Right.
Right? I have Hogan PC, blade irons and stuff. So I went with my 2 brothers and 2 sisters. We went out Sunday morning. And my brother happened to have, hey, look, I got a new driver. I gave my old one to my brothers. We're like swapping drivers. And I'm like, well, I'm supposed to go play today. Let me grab one of these high-tech drivers and try it out. It's, my grips, because my fingers are long, my grips are built up. So this had like a standard, kind of thin, normal grip. The shaft, usually my driver's like, an inch long and tipped.
Of course.
This is standard. I use like an X300 shaft. This is like, kind of like regular stiff or whatever. And I'm like, what the heck? So we go to this course where the longest hole is only 430. So the first hole's wide open, and I'm like, well, okay. It's a 9-hole course, but there's Lake Michigan on one side and a busy street on the other. And I'm like, okay, if I'm going to try the big dog, I'll, try it on this hole. I hit this ball so freaking far, I couldn't believe it. I lost sight of it
Really?
like right away. Oh, yeah. It ended up going about 290.
Straight?
Yeah, dead straight.
Oh.
Dead straight. And I hit it through the fairway, but I didn't care.
Right.
So then I was like, well, I'll try it on the next hole where there's a busy, highway next to the thing. I walk back to, the back tees, and there's a canopy of trees. And in between the trees, there's about maybe 15, 20 feet. They're almost together.
Right.
And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do here? And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to bang this thing, and I bet you I can get it over those
over the trees.
Overhanging trees. Little bit into the wind, right? Take it back nice and easy. I hit this thing so hard. Not only did I kill the golf ball, I killed the golf ball's entire family. I hit it 310, and it was literally dead center in the fairway.
So you like the club?
I have to give it back to my brother,
Yeah,
but I'm like, okay, technology works.
Yeah.
Now, there's a reason I bring this up. By the way,
people are wondering that.
Well, yeah, we're brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. The reason I bring this up is because I played a singles match yesterday in our singles league.
Right.
I played the city semifinal, best of 5.
Finally.
Best of really best of 5 sets. And the sets are best of 5. There's 2-5-0, 2 cricket, 1-3-0. And I'm playing with somebody who's been using the same darts for 25 years, been using the same shafts for 25 years, and been using the same flights for 25
right.
years. And I'm like, I beat him, which I've done before. And I'm talking to him, and I'm like, look, I mean, I don't want to, be speaking out of turn here, but, do you think that, maybe that there's some technology out there that will help you? I'm a traditionalist and a purist, when it comes to golf. That's why I use these old irons. But I'm telling you, the technology today is
right.
so much better. Don't tell me that, I've been using these for 30 years and, nobody's made anything better until you try some of this stuff. Like these carbon fiber shafts that I was swearing by all last year. I was convinced that the way they were designed and the way they worked helped my darts, helped them in the air, helped drive them in the board nice and straight at the proper angle of attack, all the way, from the time they left my fingertips until they went in the board, they flew the way I wanted them to fly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm a big believer in taking advantage of some of this technology. And
well, I agree. You at least got to try it out.
It's because I hit that driver so good on Sunday. And I didn't play that well because I couldn't figure out how far my irons would go because it's been so long, and I didn't score that well. Made a couple of putts, but, missed. I think I only hit one green.
Right.
But I only missed, I did miss a couple of fairways, but because I hit through the dog leg because I had no idea how far this club would go. But I'm telling you, in golf, the joke is you can buy a better game. There are dart products out there that I'm convinced can help people if they're willing to try them out.
Right.
So I don't know.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, I don't know quite. How to bring that out. People are. The one guy emailed us about the dartboard reviews that we did before. Yeah. We really should start talking about some of these new products that have come on the scene and how they can help you. Like you said, you like the Cosmo flights. There's other companies aside from Cosmo. I mean, but I think they work great. People think other stuff works great. So, people, that's fine. I'm not trying to shill. But what I'm saying in general is that some of these new products, regardless of the company, can help you if you're trying to improve. And we get a lot of email from people that are trying to improve. So let's help them as best we can.
That makes sense.
I don't know. That was a weird spiel. Anyway, the Department of Corrections and Retractions. We got a very nice email from somebody, Matt something, who...
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, thanks for pointing out, Matt, that Phil Taylor did address the knucklehead at the UK Open final and did mention that, it bothered him. It's pretty obvious to me that it bothered him. It didn't bother Robert Thornton, though.
No.
Now, how do you explain that? Here's Phil Taylor, right?
Maybe he saw it bother Phil and just was able to let him deal with it. I don't know. Did he run up when Phil was throwing or just when they were both standing there?
Well, I don't remember who was at the line, but, it was a pretty long delay. And I'm not really sure what to make of it because, one of the things that makes Phil Taylor is his ability to concentrate and focus on stage, on television, in front of all these fans and perform. Ever see that movie, the one with Al Pacino and Keanu Reeves, where Al Pacino actually, spoiler alert, the devil's advocate.
The devil, yeah.
Right,
yes,
they're lawyers. Right. So he says, can you perform under pressure? Some people under pressure, they focus.
Right.
Other people fold.
Right.
Right? Phil Taylor's the kind of guy that under pressure, he focuses and can
overcome.
Yeah, he kicks it into a gear. He's got this extra gear that few people seem to have. And when push comes to shove and you push him, he gets into that extra gear, and that's what makes him a champion.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a focus thing. But this guy completely blew his mind. And it didn't bother Robert Thornton at all. And I kind of wonder if that comes from Robert's background.
Meaning, what's his background?
Well, he can't.
He comes from where people run on the stage all the time?
No, but I think that, he came up through, I don't want to insult anybody, but, he's from the BDO, and the BDO I kind of consider, when you compare it to the PDC, the minor leagues, right? The PDC's the big show. It's got the most money. It's got the most TV exposure. Right. And then the BDO is still kind of like based on the county system and, okay. People have opinions about that. I don't want to. I'm not talking down the BDO, but I'm saying, Robert Thornton, I consider more of like the kind of player that can play in a bar and play well, despite the distractions,
where there's more distractions
and all this other stuff, right?
Right.
And Phil's been playing under ideal conditions for a long time, and people jumping on the stage, I don't believe that qualifies as ideal conditions.
Right.
And I wonder if somehow
it just got in his head.
Yeah, because I've never seen the guy miss by. I mean, I've seen
like
him
2
miss.
inches?
He's on this wire, he's on that wire. But I mean, this was like,
Right.
What are you kidding me?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, just. It might, the next time it happens, it might not affect him the same way.
We'll have to get him on the next time it happens.
If it happens.
I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to have to put, big bouncers in front of the stage. They're going to have to do something because they can't allow these people to, disrupt the play, especially you got people that are betting on the matches.
Right.
I mean, if you're betting on this stuff, I mean, I don't understand what... The gamblers must be freaking out. I mean, if you know what I mean?
Well, maybe he had money on Thornton.
If it's that easy to influence a match, there's going to be issues. There's going to be problems, and they're going to. I'm surprised they haven't issued some sort of a statement saying, from now on we're going to do this and we're going to protect, whatever. I don't know. They're awfully successful, and I don't think they're really going to be taking
our advice
cues from me or you. Yeah. I'm thinking anyway, but that is a good segue into the mental part of the game. So I went through the emails, most of which I answered, and I came across one that I thought was a good way to start talking about the mental part of the game, where I can't remember who it was, said that what they would like help with is dealing with the, quote, jitters that they get, before they play a first-round match in a tournament.
Right.
And I'm thinking, that's a pretty good... I think most people struggle with that at one time or another, if not all the time.
Right.
Right, I mean...
Is it first round before the first match starts, or is it jitters throughout the whole first round because there's the fear of losing in the first round that just... Absolutely, because, nobody wants to go out in the first round.
Well, that's a total. Really?
Sure.
Well, I mean, nobody wants to lose in any round. How's the first round any different?
Well, especially when you only have single elimination and you don't get to. You're not going to be throwing that many darts, and all
right.
especially if you should beat the guy and you want to be able to.
Got it. Okay. Let's. That's a good point. Let's run our first real quick commercial and then remember where we were.
Okay.
And we'll pick that right up. All right. So we will be right back.
Char, you already know someone who's been personally affected by a coffee addiction.
Mommy, please put the mug down.
Sometimes I can't even get out of bed unless I visualize that hot cup of coffee. You may already know of coffee's dark past in the seedy underbelly of Cairo and Mecca. But you may not know the staggering numbers of modern-day coffee houses. The highly addictive quality of coffee makes it the perfect gateway drug. It's almost impossible to just have one cup. But there is hope on the horizon. People just like you have created Loca, lovers of coffee addicts. Team up with Loca in the fight against this addictive bean. With your help and donations, Loca can make a difference by giving tools to addicts, empowering them to make good decisions right from the start of the day. This ad has been paid for by Loca, lovers of coffee addicts.
T-bowing, insanity, planking, owling, Coney 2012. Trends spread across our nation as quick as wildfires, but fade even faster. If you or someone you know suffers from following trends, remember that no matter how hard you try to get rid of the evidence, chances are someone has proof. So the next time you think about jumping on a trend, remember how embarrassed you were when you found that video of your mom doing the Macarena. You're gonna have kids someday. Don't let that be you.
Hello, my name is Nozomi from Ehime in Japan. You're listening to the Dad Talk.
Okay, and we're back for the
Listening to the
second
Dart
quarter,
Talk.
listening to the Dart Talk. Well, English, when English is your second language, you're going to throw in an extra article now and then. That's okay. Just a reminder, we're brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, thanks Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts.
Apparently, the PDC did release a
the smartest chat room in the business did come through. Apparently, the PDC released a statement saying that they were going to ban anybody who
and their party
wow.
But they didn't. It doesn't say anything about what they're going to do to prevent it. It just what they're saying is if you do it.
Yeah, I'll try to find if you know where if somebody can post a link to the release, I'll take a look at it. From how it's being paraphrased there, it sounds somewhat inadequate to me.
Right.
Apparently, they did have bouncers in front of the stage, so that's good. I'd be surprised that they didn't. Okay, as long as we're talking about England, let's do the results from the Saturday and Sunday Players' Championships that they held over the pond over the weekend.
Okay, so Saturday, top four, Wes Newton and Colin Lloyd. Adrian Lewis got second, and Ronnie Baxter won. And then Jeff Smith beat Aaron Monk in the first round and lost to Justin Pipe in the round of 64, who Pipe then lost to Adrian Lewis in the next round.
Yeah, tough draw for Jeff Smith there.
And then Sunday, Jeff Smith lost in the first round with top four going to Wes Newton and Robert Thornton. Simon Whitlock got second with Michael Van Gerwen winning that, and he beat him 6-1.
Yeah, good day for Van Gerwen on Sunday. These PDPA events, they really crack me up because some of the top guys don't really play them as often as some of the other guys.
Why is that?
Well, I'm not sure. they may have something else to do. If you're guaranteed to be in all the money tournaments, then you're going to prepare for those, or all the TV tournaments rather. And so the guys that are trying to climb up and stuff play the PDPA stuff more. But what it does is it messes up the seeds. Like Adrian Lewis ended up losing the final to Ronnie Baxter, but I believe Adrian Lewis wasn't even seeded. So it's they use a separate money list than the PDC Order of Merit, where Lewis is like probably second, I'm thinking. So, I mean, it's just weird looking at the seeds in the PDPA thing, because they reflect people that play the PDPA stuff more, which I guess that's a good thing. I'm not sure that it is, but, I mean, if Phil Taylor happens to play one and Phil Taylor's like seeded 7th, I would hate to be I'd hate to be the 2 seed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Seeding is like, over there it's a little more. It's a little more accurate than what we basically get here, because everybody here is so scattered, and like you talk about like on the Diddle Tour. Right, on the ADO events. I'm starting to call it the Diddle Tour, because you diddle all the time. You had 2 events the same weekend, where, remember last week there was the CVDA and then there was also Houston?
Yeah.
Right? I still haven't gotten the results from Houston, but I mean, you've got all the steel players split in 2 separate fields. The PDC doesn't do that. I mean, how do you reconcile that? That's why, I kind of like the NAPTA ratings, where it's like, okay, let's just count the money and see how that works.
And rate it from there.
Well, how else are you going to do it? Because you're going to do strength of field. If you do strength of field, then one tournament is going to be weighted this way and another tournament is going to be weighted lower. How's that supposed to work? You know what I mean? So
the end all be all is you still have to beat everybody.
Well, the NAPTA ratings are going to change in the next 6 weeks, 2 months, because there's a 15,000 not this weekend, but the weekend after, in the Little River Casino, right? And then you've got the first of the PDC events, which is, that's big money for the winner, right? And it's money that puts you up on the NAPTA list.
Right.
And you're going to have all the best shots in North America there. So we'll kind of separate the wheat from the chaff there, and then the week after that is Nashville. The wheat from the chaff. Okay. Don't ask me what the chaff is, because it's some sort of wheat husk or something. Right.
You have to separate them. I get it.
Yeah, with a thresher.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a farmer. Don't It's a cliche.
All right.
You don't have to understand that. No, but you separate the men from the boys.
Yeah.
And then you've got in August, you've got the 501 National Championship, and you've got Stamford. So you'll get the top people in the Diddle Tour playing there. And then right after that is another PDC event in Canada. And then there's a third PDC event in Atlantic City at the beginning of September. So all those whoever wins all that big money is going to shoot up in the NAPTA rankings. So under all circumstances, we must be Darren Young, because he is way ahead on this thing.
Right.
And if he wins the PDC things, we're not going to catch the guy for a year. He's going to be up there. That's why Phil Taylor's number 1 on the list, because on the PDC, like NAPTA, the money stays on for 2 years. So, how are you going to catch the guy?
Right.
He's going to be up there. He's got to go down. Darren, you listening? You're going down, buddy. So yeah, mental part of the game.
Right.
What was it that you said at the?
Well, you brought up about the jitters before the first match, and I was curious about possible jitters all during your first match.
Well, you brought up a good point, because what you said was like, people that are worried, I assume, the embarrassment of losing in the first round.
The embarrassment of losing, or the fact that you're in your mind, you're a good darter, and you have a good chance of being in the money, and the guy in front of you should beat, and just be you just kind of get it into your head that you can't lose to this guy. It's the first round. I can't lose in the first round. So you have the jitters before you start the tournament, and then you also I don't know if it, is that the same as continuing those jitters into the first round of the fear of losing?
Okay, yeah, this whole fear of losing thing and the whole notion of I don't want to lose in the first round. You can extend that because, people that chase 80 points don't get any points if they don't finish in the money. And I've talked to a couple of people who said, that they put more pressure on themselves because they have to finish in the money. And that kind of stuff is completely contrary to what you want to have going on in your head when you're playing, in a tournament or before you even start. If you're worried about your own expectations, if you're creating fear in your own mind, you said fear of losing.
Yeah.
I'm always afraid of losing. I'm afraid of losing if Helen Keller shows up and says, hey, can I borrow your darts? I'm immediately like, oh my gosh, what if she beats me with my darts? How can I ever live this down? Those kind of thoughts are not going to help you at all.
Right.
And
right, I understand they're not going to help, but what do you do?
Well,
how do you try and overcome that?
There are different techniques that you can use, and I jotted down some suggestions that people can try, and maybe they've tried them before, and we can go down the list one by one.
Okay.
And you haven't seen the list
I have not seen
you missed the meeting.
Again.
Right.
Second week in a row I've missed a production
You
meeting.
can just give me your kind of gut reaction to some of these things, and we can see if I can read my own writing. This is something that I've seen done a lot in Chicago. And it's sort of obvious if you can read people's faces. There are players that literally pretend that they don't care. They pretend that the match is nothing. They pretend as if they couldn't care less if they throw a ton 80 or a 3.
Right.
And it's a technique that I think has been shared by a lot of people that kind of threw together as a way to deal with whatever pressure they feel, where it's almost practicing self-delusion, where you say to yourself, I don't care. Whatever. Okay, if you win, you win.
Couldn't that lead to lack of concentration?
Yeah, well, I guess it could, but what they're trying to do is lift the pressure they feel off themselves so they can play pressure-free. And think about when you're playing Helen Keller, or think about what Phil would be going through Phil Taylor's mind if he's playing somebody that he's beaten 100 times. The confidence you feel, and you're not really worried about playing somebody because you've beaten them so many times. Okay, I'm going to beat this guy again, and la-di-da-di-da. Whereas, turn it around now. What's going on in your head when you play somebody that you've never beaten? Are you going to tell yourself, oh, my God, I've never beaten this guy? That can't help you.
That can't help at all.
Right,
no.
Exactly. And so you have to get a handle on what's going through your mind. And if you can do that, it's going to help your performance. I'm convinced of that. Now, pretending that it's nothing, I am not sure that self-delusion leads to false confidence.
Right.
So you see some of these players that talk a lot of smack, that they can't back up, and yet they always talk it. And it seems more prevalent in people like in a younger generation than mine. We didn't really talk a whole lot of smack like when I grew up. I'm older than you, but I'm 27. But some of these people that are 25 apparently, they talk a lot of smack. They
talk a lot of smack.
And I don't of the I don't really hear it much from like the top players. I don't hear anybody say anything.
Right.
I mean, maybe they say it when I'm not around, but I don't hear anything. But I hear a lot from like amateurs.
Really?
Like that maybe don't go to too many tournaments, and this is kind of how they play at their local bar and stuff, so they go to a tournament and
that's
they
how
do
they
the
talk.
same thing. So it's the only explanation I can have. I can't see it giving you an advantage.
Right.
So pretending it's nothing is one way to kind of like conquer
fear.
You're calling it fear. I mean, I would call it anxiety.
Okay.
Right?
Nerves.
Yeah, your nerves. And that'll lead us to, let me jump down here to number 3 here. There's nothing wrong with being nervous. What happens to a lot of people is that they're not used to being nervous.
Right.
And so it's an unfamiliar feeling. So what I would say to people that are nervous, and jitters kind of like, unless you've had too much coffee, nerves and jitters, kind of go hand in hand. I would say the first thing you have to do is tell yourself, I'm nervous. Wow, check it out. I'm nervous. Accept the fact that you're nervous, and then just forget about it.
Well, it depends on what the nervous is. Some people are nervous because they're anxious. They're happy that the tournament's starting, and people just have nerves before an activity, and those are good nerves. Or they could be bad nerves because they're getting involved in the activity, into the tournament. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, and I was going to say that actually being nervous is good.
Yeah.
Being nervous gives you more energy. The trick when you're nervous is just recognize that you're nervous and then be like, oh, okay, I'm nervous. Well, okay, I can still play. I can still hit stuff when I'm nervous. You just have to – it's an uncomfortable feeling. It's not a feeling that you're used to all the time. So you have to recognize the fact that, oh, my gosh, I'm nervous. Okay, no problem. I can throw nervous because eventually it goes away.
Right.
Right, you hear these football players all the time, how geeked up and nervous they are, and then the minute they hit somebody, you're fine.
Yeah.
And I think if push comes to shove, if you ask a lot of people who are nervous, they're much less nervous once the diddle's over and they get to the line with their first dart in their hand. It's like, oh, okay, now it's just another dart game. Oh, there's the dartboard. Oh, I've done this before.
Right.
And the nervous energy, you channel that, and it's an advantage.
Yeah, you can make it a benefit.
Yeah, you're not going to come out flat if you're nervous. It just seems to me that the people that I see that are nervous don't look like they're very comfortable, like they're nervous that often. And that unfamiliarity, I think, is what trips them up. So we are we on the half? Yeah, we're on the half.
We are on the half.
Okay, so we'll talk some more about the give us a 1-minute commercial here, and we'll get back and we'll talk more about the mental side of the game.
Hey, Sarah.
Oh my gosh, he's so cute.
Been doing like I taught you. Love the new tattoo, Sarah.
Dude, that's Sarah. The girl in the pink shirt. That's the girl I was telling you about.
Theater 2 on your left. Hey, Sarah. What color underwear today?
Hey, Sarah. So when are you going to post something new?
Anything you post online, anyone can see. So think before you post.
Are you a gravelly-voiced, chain-smoking young poet with a raconteur bent? Do you find yourself passing out and or waking up in seedy bars that some might describe as toilets? Do you find the mainstream American public has yet to recognize your musical genius? If so, you may be a child of Tom Waits. Now, if you think you are a child of Tom Waits, please write to us at the VH1 Archives, 1515 Broadway, 21st floor, New York, New York, 10036. Please remember to lick your own stamps.
All right.
Hello, I'm Randy Van Dersen, a.k.a. Big Dog. I live in Lindenhurst, Illinois, and I'm listening to Dart Talk.
Okay, we're back for the third quarter. Thanks to Big Dog there. And the reason I had Big Dog there is so we could do the results from stage four of the Dartslive Soft Tip World Championship deal they had going in Hong Kong last weekend. So what we got?
What do we got? All right. Dartslive World Stage 4. I'll give you the Americans. 128th, Richie Espinoza. Tied for 64th, Rob Dragon Heckman and Brian Stamey. 32nd, Ray the Razor Carver, and 8th would be Randy Big Dog Van Duerson. And then top 4 goes to Jerry Swerto and Lawrence Illigan. Is that Lawrence?
Yeah.
And second place goes to Haruki Marumatsu. Marumatsu. I was close. Marumatsu. And Royden Lamb wins stage 4.
I can't remember Royden Lamb, what his nickname is, but he's a younger guy, and he wears these, the kind of thick black glasses that were popular. His are white.
Oh, really?
And they're very striking looking.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I couldn't stay up to watch the whole thing. It started at like 1 a.m, something like that. So I saw his first round match where he was playing, somebody I never heard of, and didn't really present too much of a problem. The guy didn't hit much.
Right.
So, but he's done pretty well. Lawrence Iagan, I think, is a Filipino guy. He's done really well in these things in the past.
It's not Illigan? Looks like an L.
It's like 2 L's.
Oh.
Or IL. I have no idea how to pronounce it. Somebody's going to have to help me out with that.
Right.
But
and me as well.
No, but I read some of the posts that people made, and apparently Royden played really, really well.
Yeah.
So it was good for him. Well played. So where were we on the mental stuff?
Well, you got a list of about 5 things. We went through a couple.
We went through a couple.
We just got done with recognizing your nerves.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to talk about of these next. What I do hear from a lot of people is they talk about their warm-ups. They're like, oh, well, I didn't warm up very good, or I couldn't hit anything in warm-up, or, oh, I warmed up so good, I hit everything, and then the match came and nothing was there.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. And a lot of this comes from your own expectations, but I would say, especially to people that don't play a lot of tournaments, don't worry about what you hit in your warm-ups. It doesn't count. I see a lot of amateurs watching people warm up, and if somebody warms up really well, I could just see them, the fear in their eyes starting to grow. And every now and then, I get a chance to observe people playing, and that's a bad idea. I can't remember the last time I saw what my opponent hit when we're at the same board warming up for a match. Excuse me.
Right.
I don't care what he hits. Doesn't matter.
I've seen people do that. I can understand why. I mean, it also shouldn't affect you, but it's just human nature to sit there and watch a guy hit a bunch of triple 20s, and then you kind of psych yourself out. It's obviously something you have to get over, but I understand why it happens.
Yeah, I think, let's say you're playing like one of the top players and you watch him warm up and the guy can't miss. I can't see that helping your confidence any.
No, it doesn't help.
And at the same time, what if he doesn't hit anything at all? Obviously, he's hit stuff before, so you don't get anything out of watching.
Well, I don't think it helps either. Even if you watch somebody, say you're playing in a smaller tournament, you're watch somebody that you're watching your next opponent who you've never played before, never seen play, and it's the same
thing.
What do you
care?
Yeah, because if you see him throw a bunch of triples and then you psych yourself out that the guy's really good and you're either going to have to throw above your game, which that doesn't help you, or if he doesn't hit anything, then you have a false sense of security that, well, this guy's not that good and I should just destroy him. That doesn't help you either.
Yeah, all of these are completely and utterly negative thoughts that really shouldn't be going through your head. So if you find yourself thinking stuff like this, before a match begins, but the first thing I would tell you is don't even look at what the guy hits or the girl hits in warm-ups, because it doesn't matter anyway, and you should be worried about your own darts.
Yeah.
What are you watching the other guy warm up for? I mean, the only thing that you need to see is make sure that their scores marked correctly after their third dart's delivered. Other than that, what do you care? I mean, make sure he's not like,
2 inches
walking
past
up and
the line.
sticking the darts in the board, something like that.
Right.
But I mean, what are you watching them for anyway? I mean, I guess that you could make an argument that if you see flaws in the guy's or the girl's stroke, where you're like, oh, well, look at this guy. I mean, look at it. His darts corkscrew in the air, or he does this, or he does that. Oh, well, I should beat him. You're setting yourself up for a big trap.
Right.
Because anybody who goes to a tournament and plays in an open event, I would think has a chance to win. They must think they have a chance to win.
Yeah.
The people that come up to me and say, well, take it easy on me, this shouldn't take long, I'm nowhere in your league or anything like that. I mean, if somebody says that to me, I'm just sort of like, I fall into a trap because I let up.
Which is probably why they say it.
Well, they
however they can get an advantage.
You know, I mean,
to get you mentally screwed up.
You know, some people, you know, once you get a reputation, I mean, I think people start treating you a little bit differently than they did, you know, before you had a reputation. I mean, I think back to the way people were when I was coming up, like the first few years I was playing, and the way I'm treated now by the same people, and you know, it's a, you know, their approach to playing me is a lot different than it was, you know. Having a talk show doesn't have anything to do with it, but
5 years ago.
Yeah, I can't imagine anybody worried about like what I would say about them on a podcast.
Now they do.
Nah, I doubt that. But yeah, as far as like, you know, how you warm up and stuff, I mean, if I warm up well and things feel like they're where they're supposed to be, that gives me confidence.
Right.
Before I play a match. If things are not where they're going to be, that does not help my confidence, but I tell myself that, you know, well, it's just warming. I'm just warming up anyway.
Is there a method to your madness for warming up?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
So
we can get to that. We can get to you know, warm up methods because
I mean, is it basically the same every
No.
tournament?
No, it totally depends. Like soft tippers, and we're going to get off track a little bit here. Soft tippers, well, and I've only been to like one soft tip tournament. I've been to the Bullshooter because it's in Chicago.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to only get a 9-dart warm-up. Okay, so if I'm playing 0-1, I have a 9-dart warm-up, and if I'm playing cricket, I have a 9-dart warm-up. And my cricket 9-dart warm-up, my 9th dart's at the bull, since I'm going to have to diddle. Right. If I'm playing 0-1, depending on how I am that day, I may or may not throw any at the triple 20. It's always what I used to do is I'd throw 3 at the triple 20, and then I'd go double 16, double 8, double 4, and then I'd go double 20, double 10 bull. Right?
Yeah.
Now it sort of depends. I may throw my last 3 at the bull if I have to, you know, if I'm on the diddle tour. I'm going to have to diddle. Then I want to, like, you know, kind of try to dial in the bullseye.
You might as well not
then I may as well say, just, hey, Ray, go first.
Right. Then you might as well just throw in all the doubles.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to win the diddle.
Ray. All the best, Ray. You start. Yeah. Nah, we'll get him. We'll get him one of these days. But, yeah, that's just kind of an odd statistical anomaly. That's what I'm telling myself anyway. But, yeah, the as far as not worrying about your warm-up and stuff like that, that kind of leads me to something else that can help people that are nervous or have jitters or have apprehension.
Other than alcohol?
I wasn't going to mention that, but you know, when it especially if you're playing somebody with a reputation, or if you've got one of those draws where you hear a name and you kind of go, oh, darn,
right?
Who wants to play that guy in the first round, right? The one thing that I would say would really help is summon up as many positive thoughts as you can. Everybody's hit ton 40s. Start thinking about all the ton 40s you've hit. Start thinking about the last good round you had. Start thinking about the last big finish you had to win a match. Start thinking about, you know, how you won this or you won that. Or you beat this guy that didn't think you could beat him.
Right.
Or, you know, start cycling through all the positive things that have gone on, because it will totally distract you from what is originally bringing this on, which is, you know, your apprehension about playing somebody. And you have to have positive thoughts in your head when you're playing if you want to play well.
Right.
You cannot have these ridiculous, oh my God, I don't want to lose in the first round. That's what's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
If that's what you're worried about, that's going to happen.
Right.
So replace that with something positive, like, what would be a good way to do it? If you're playing 0-1, right? Be like, well, okay. Yeah, if I don't throw a 12-darter this leg, I can live with it.
All right.
Okay? If my first start isn't in the trip 20, I'll settle for a ton 40. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, positive stuff, right? I missed the first one, but I'll hit the next two.
Yeah.
okay, that was a bad one, but this one won't be. Instead of like getting down on yourself like, oh my God, I'm missing, I can't hit anything, because that's generally what will happen. If you're thinking like that, you won't hit
everything
anything.
snowballs, and you're just going to be going downhill
exactly
in a hurry.
So that's part of the, and I wouldn't call it trickery exactly. You have to program your mind to play well, and that is part of what helps your focus. When you have all these negative things going in your head, invariably that affects the focus that you're supposed to have when you're actually playing, where you really aren't thinking of anything. I mean, you have in the front of your mind, if you're playing 01 or, a number. I need a 7 count, or, if I hit this triple, then I'm closing on my next start. If I don't hit the triple, I'm going to stay there. Or, all right, I'm on 88. I'm throwing my first start here, and if it's a single, I go here, and if it's a triple, I go there, and stuff like that. Those are the kind of thoughts that will help you maintain your focus. Thoughts like, oh, my God, he's on a double. If I miss this, I'm hosed.
Yeah.
Those won't help you.
Right.
That's how you miss with regularity, because the guys that hit it aren't thinking that. Think about how you go down to the dart hall at the beginning of the day, and your first few darts, you're almost not even aiming them. You're just sort of like off the top of your head, you're just throwing them, and they all go in.
Right.
Because your arm knows where the darts are supposed to go. The darts know where they're supposed to go. You actually know where they're supposed to go. It's just your brain gets in the way, and you have this total layer of, like, unhelpful
thoughts.
Gibberish.
Yeah.
Kind of like the show sometimes. Unhelpful gibberish that is only going to prevent you from performing.
Right.
And that's, in essence, what we're talking about. We're talking about how do you perform? How do you perform on demand? Everybody gets stage fright. Everybody has opening night jitters. Those are fine. Just recognize that you have them and carry on.
And positive thoughts.
Yeah, and positive thoughts. And the last thing that I'll say on this particular topic, we're gonna have to go to a commercial because I'm losing it. Is generate some enthusiasm.
Right.
I've said this, I don't know to how many people. It's like, if you don't enjoy the sheer act of throwing a dart and watching it hit what you're aiming at, I'm not sure you should really be playing. Because that is, in a sense, if you can't enjoy that, what on earth are you playing for? Right. I actually enjoy the feeling of a dart leaving my hand correctly, the same way you enjoy the feeling. Well, it's almost like no feeling at all. When you really, hit a golf ball flush and you get that nice sort of semi-numb feeling all the way up to your elbow that you really got it, and there's no
you didn't really feel it hit the club. Right.
Exactly. And it's that way if you really crack a serve in tennis, or if you pound a baseball, or the sound that basketball makes when you really rip a swish.
Right.
Not just any swish, but the kind where you have enough backspin and it doesn't hit anything until it gets to the bottom part of the net, and it makes that snappy sound. Right. I mean, if you don't like that, or that nice solid sound a bowling ball makes when you put it right in the pocket.
I wouldn't know
of a strike. You never been bowling?
Not really.
That little clatter,
cracky
sound?
I wouldn't really know that sound. How about that?
Okay. The only sport that doesn't have a really good sound is curling.
Doesn't have a good sound?
I don't really think so. I mean, unless you're doing one of those takeouts where you just like kind of hammer a stone out of your way.
Yeah.
That must make a nice solid thwack because, I mean, there's some sort of like Scottish granite or something they make those stones out of. But you have to enjoy that stuff.
Yeah.
You have to enjoy the sound of your dart hitting the board solid.
With the will to want it to reoccur.
Well,
over and over again.
And everybody misses. Even the good players miss the majority of the time. Right? If you go ton 101 out, 2/3 of your darts have missed.
Yeah.
Right? You're only hitting 1 out of 3. which, if you hit 333 in baseball, you're doing pretty good.
You're doing really well. You're in the Hall of Fame.
If you can do nothing but throw 5 counts, you're going to be a very successful player. I don't think you're going to win every event that you enter, but you're going to do very well the majority of times, and you'll win some. Because, the formats, especially on the Diddle Tour, the formats that you're playing and stuff like that, if you can play solid like that all day long, you have an excellent chance of winning. You're not going to win a PDC-style event playing that way because people get in a rhythm, and so their averages go up, which reminds me, we're going to do the DPNY results.
Okay.
After the
next commercial break.
Yeah, and this is a good segue because I want to talk about what they do and why it's a good thing. So it's just going to be a minute, and we'll be right back.
Why can't guys just ask us out? They have to pretend like it's a coincidence that we both want to see a movie. Or say, let's just go hang out. Of course I'm going to say yes to that. I want to go hang out with a friend. But it gets weird when that friend tries to kiss me. I don't need one more guy in my life trying to have sex with me.
Please. I love it how girls act like they don't know the code. Like they don't know what hang out means. You agree to go to the movies with me. I show up bearing flowers. I pay for the movie. And the second I go in for a kiss, it's all, oh, we're just friends, right? Yeah, I asked you out because I need one more girl in my life who won't have sex with me.
Grow some balls.
Stupid.
When you buy something you don't need, just because it's on sale, you're not actually saving money. Think about it.
Hey, you guys. How you doing? Jeff Smith. I'm from St. John, New Brunswick, and you are listening to Dart Talk.
Okay, we're back for the fourth quarter.
All right.
We are brought to you, as always, by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
The DartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor with the best traveling Cosmo display in the country, in North America, actually.
All right.
So I'm pretty sure he'll be at Little River. We got to get you up there. We got to get
Where's
you to
Little
come to
River?
Little River. It's in Manistee, Michigan, which is like
Is that home of the Little River Band?
No.
No. Okay.
It's like the Grand River that runs around there. No, it's north of Grand Rapids, like an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. And it's, I don't know, it should be a pretty good tournament. It's an interesting format because there's only one singles. It's a longer format 501 on Saturday. That's the only singles. And I think there's 2 mixed doubles. So my girlfriend's all geeked up about that.
Absolutely.
Yay, more mixed. Oh, my God. Really? We're going to, okay. More mixed, yay.
Yay. You have to be happy about that.
Anyway,
you have to appear happy about that.
I am. Well, I like playing with her.
Right.
It's just mixed doubles, cricket singles.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have results from the DPNY tour event number 4, which was at Griffin's in White Plains. I've been there. Now, this is interesting because they actually keep statistics, which is easy to do if you're paying attention in an 0-1 match. And they play longer format 5-0, so it's a little more like what they do in the PDC. They don't bother with cricket or, it's just straight. And what they do, I guess, is they host the event in different places in and around New York City. They cap the field at 32 players, and they get 32 players for every event. And you have to qualify for the big final by playing in some of these things. And so they had one in Griffin's. Let's see. In the semis, Brandon Rogers won 6-3 over Dave Marenthal. And Brandon averaged 91.43, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
91 is it's not PDC standard, but 91.43. If you look through like BDO statistics,
it's up there.
Yeah, that's going to be up there. And then in the other semi, George Timponi won 6-0 over Bob Garzone, and George averaged 82.73, which I don't know. You want to talk about statistics because I'm of the opinion that statistics are like a bikini, right? They show you a lot, but they hide the essentials. Right. So when you look at a 91.43 and an 82.73, obviously the 91 is better.
Right.
But you're still in the same round, right? If you're not averaging 100 and you're on 16 darts and the other guy's on 17, it's still a wash as far as I'm concerned. So I don't take the averages quite as seriously as some people do.
It kind of shows how well you're throwing, but
it gives you a general idea.
Bottom line is wins.
Yeah, well, of course.
You know.
But it's good to get, especially over a longer format, you get a pretty good idea of the level of play.
Right.
But it's not a be-all and end-all. You know what I'm saying? Because with statistics, I mean, it's kind of weird. If you're playing good players, you can get spanked by a guy 6-0, but because you never get to a double or don't get to a finish, you can end up with an average in the 90s.
Yeah.
Right? You don't even have to hit a double. That's,
Right.
So what the averages that I would really like to see, and I will send this guy an email because I just kind of heard about this today. I'd like to see doubles percentages.
That's what I was going to ask.
Doubles percentages tell you a lot. If you see a guy shot a 91.43 and his doubles were 25%, then you know that he was smoking on his scoring. Where if he's a 91.43 and you see his doubles percentage is 80%, then it's kind of like, okay, well, he's throwing a lot of tons and, 95s and stuff like that, and then he's getting out right away.
Right.
The combination of those two numbers, I think, gives you a clearer idea of what's going on. Now, the PDC, I'm not terribly fond of the way they calculate their doubles, right? Because they don't actually count the number of darts that you throw. They count the number of darts that you had available. Right? So let's say you're on 18.
But you have 3 darts in your hand and you hit it on the first one.
You have 3 darts on your hand and you're going for double 9 and you throw a single, then you have to throw a fat one to clean it up, and then you go for the double 4. You've actually only thrown 2 darts at the double, but they count it as 3.
Right.
Right? That's just stupid.
Right.
I'm kind of ripping on the PDC today. I mean, I don't understand why you would even contemplate calculating that way unless it's somehow it's easier to do with, whatever. Because, the matches go pretty quick. I don't know who's available to actually take stats.
If they hit the dart on the first, if they hit the double on the first dart, are they still considering 3 darts at the double?
Well, no, it's your 1 for 1.
Okay.
But
it's just the fact that the cleanup dart is considered.
Well, yeah. If you hit it on the third one, you're 1 for 3. But technically, you're 1 for 2. That's a huge skew,
right? As
far as the percentage goes. So I don't like the way they calculate the doubles, but have something with the doubles is extremely helpful.
Yeah.
So, okay, we way off track here. Okay, so Dave Marenthal and Bob Garzone were top 4, and then in the final, Brandon Rogers beat George Timpone 6-2, and averaged 10 points less. Brandon averaged an 81.06, and George averaged a 75.06. So that's pretty close, average wise.
Yeah.
So it was a close final, and I don't know what the story is. Maybe they were both missing doubles. I can't really see why your scoring would drop off that much. So I'm thinking they must have started missing doubles, or started squeezing the wires,
right.
One of the two. That's why having the doubles thing in there would tell you, because we can't do it like baseball, where if you're skilled, you can read a box score, and pretty much if you spend like 5 minutes a box score, you can follow every single baseball game without watching them. Box scores are beautiful.
Yeah.
You can recreate almost every inning in your head if you read the box score. I used to do that. I'd spend an hour on the box scores every day on the train. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was like the highlight of my day. And the Cubs were winning that year.
What year was that?
It was like 84. Right, it was a long time ago. Although they did beat the Sox last night, by the way.
Yeah,
I heard.
They didn't just beat them.
Beat them bloody.
They beat down.
Well, it's nice to know that you could beat the cross-time rival once every 3 years or whatever it is, because they've been getting absolutely killed.
Right.
And it's kind of an interesting, we can close the mental stuff talking about the Cubs and the Sox, because I have a feeling the White Sox really hate the Cubs because the Cubs are so much more popular and they don't deserve it. They
There's
bring
something
in
to be
more
said
fans.
for that. Yeah.
They bring in way more fans. They're way more popular. And I think even the Sox fans are totally resentful of the fact that everybody likes the Cubs when the Cubs don't win. Not that the Sox win every year. I mean,
Right.
they had one lucky year where they got the pennant.
One lucky year.
Everything went their way. They were world champions, what was that, 7 years ago now?
2005. Yeah.
What year are we now?
2012.
Okay. Well, Cubs won it in 06, I think.
Yes. They did.
Eventually, they'll win it again. Look at the Kings. They won the hockey this year.
Right.
I don't know. It's I was going to talk about this. I watched the UFA soccer
Cubs
today.
are actually winning right now.
Awesome. I watched the UFA soccer today. England was playing the Ukraine in the Ukraine. And I kept the whole match. I had this Seinfeld thing going through my head where they were playing Risk on the subway, and he's like, "Oh, the Ukraine is weak," and then some stand, "Oh, Ukraine is strong," and like hit the board. But the Ukrainians had this. It was kind of a weird. Some guy got loose in the box and tried to hit it or kick it between a defender and the goalie, and the ball got kind of deflected, and it went into the net. And then one of the English guys went in and bicycle kicked it out of there. And they called it no goal, and the replay clearly showed that it was in. And what happened was they had a linesman there, right? So he's looking down the line, but he tilted his head to the field side instead of the out-of-bounds side, so he couldn't see if the ball was by the post. What he should have done was looked inside the post to see if he saw the whole ball. So it's the lineman's fault.
Right.
But here, I heard it cost $3 billion to get this thing hosted in the Ukraine. $3 billion,
Jesus.
and you can't afford a VCR and a replay. I mean, what does that really tell you about a sport?
Right.
They're more interested in having people yell about it and talk about how they got cheated than they are getting it right. Because it's these soccer games, every year some team gets totally hosed with some call, and it's like, what are you kidding me? And this argument that it's like,
talking about the sport.
Oh, well, we like the human element is like, oh, really? Because I kind of like, people to get the calls right.
Right.
Why aren't they using Quest Tech in baseball? See, we're back on this whole, take advantage of technology kick that I started the show with, right? Technology is your friend. Learn to use it.
Right.
Don't fear it. It's a good thing.
Just depends. You just can't have the games go 6 hours.
How are they going to go 6 hours?
Depends. Well, if you're going to review everything.
Is it better to take 5 minutes and get the call right, or have people scream about it for 30 years, how they got hosed?
Well,
like, what was it? The people from Kansas City, right? Didn't Denkinger blow a call at first base in, like, the 80-something World Series against the Whitey Herzog Cardinals that cost them the series?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. What good is that? Or this
the Cardinals have won enough World Series, they don't complain about it
The
anymore.
no-hitter where the ball hit the line and the guy blew it?
Yeah.
Is that better? Or what was the guy? A guy had it last year. A guy had a no-hitter.
The no-hitter, he had to hit the no-hitter, and the guy...
like, did he blow a call? They called him safe, and he was, like, obviously out.
Yeah.
It's like, what, are you kidding me?
With 2 outs in the ninth.
John McEnroe used to go off on officials all the time. He was notorious for it.
Yeah.
And at one point, he tried to defend himself, and he's like, look, I work at this. This is my livelihood. I'm a tennis professional, okay? Now you got Joe Schmo, who's just some member of the club who volunteered to be a linesman, and he's goofing me up. He's getting this stuff wrong. It's like, I work harder at this than he does, so either get somebody who works as hard as I do, or you're going to have to put up with me criticizing.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought he had a valid point.
It's valid.
Maybe he doesn't criticize the guy. Maybe you shouldn't be screaming, "You're the pits of the world."
Yeah.
But I felt for the guy. I'm kind of like, you know what? Let's get these guys. Let's get the officials up and have them prepare as much as the players.
Yeah, I think unfortunately the officials aren't held accountable for their screw-ups, which they should be.
This whole idea of like the human element is a dodge. It's like, get with it. If you can't call the games right, then admit we can't call these games right, and I don't know. You got to do
somebody
something.
that can.
I mean, these NBA refs are good because it's hard to make these calls. But you look at the Quest Tech, that you can actually have the computer call balls and strikes.
Right.
Right? I mean, darts is lucky. You just look and you see if they're in there. No ifs, ands, or buts. The only problem is like the Diddle League, right?
Yeah.
Because what if you both miss the bull and you don't happen to have like a micrometer to see who's who's closer.
Yeah.
PDC diddle rule. PDC diddle rule, right? Pull everything. You need a bull to win the diddle.
To win the diddle.
Yeah. Let's go to that.
That makes the most sense.
Yeah. That makes a lot more sense. Did we get to we didn't get to any of this stuff. I had tips for everybody. We'll do them next week. We did the retractions.
Yeah.
Oh, and you wanted to talk about warm-up methods. All right, we'll do that next week, too. Next week, we'll talk we're going to start doing like a regular dart tip segment. And so we don't have time. I had them here, but we'll start them next week. And we'll also talk about warm-ups, and we'll have more on the mental side of the game. I'm going to try to get Dr. D back on the show next week.
All right.
Got anything?
No.
No, you good?
I think I'm good.
Okay, then we are going to wrap it up for today. Everybody, thanks for listening. Everybody in the chat room, smartest chat room in the business, thanks for hanging in there with us. Sorry we were late. And we will
try and be on time next week.
That would help. We'll Dart talk to you guys next week. Everybody, safe travels and take care.
Thanks, everyone.